And we are live. Welcome to this episode of Wealthy Wednesday. Today's going to be fire. It's going to be fun. It's going to be interactive. I'm going to want you to ask questions because we have an incredible guest speaker who has a wealth of knowledge. And I know you're going to want to ask some questions that you can get for some answers today for free. So come on in. Let us know where you're tuning in from. We are live on Facebook. We're live on YouTube. We're live on LinkedIn. Where are you finding us? Where are you in this neck of the woods on this Wealthy Wednesday? Well, we talk about money here. So we've got Money Mondays. We got Wealthy Wednesdays. We've got, Tax Tip Tuesdays, Taco Tuesdays. I'm not really sure. Wealthy Wednesdays is definitely one of my most favorite days of the week. I love doing this event. I have a lot of fun. I always learn something. So come on in and actually get your notepad out. I know you're going to want to take some good notes today. So today's guest speaker, we're going to be talking about NLP. And if you've ever studied that, I've taken a few classes on that. I just really love the science. I love the neuroscience, and I love the psychology behind it. Today's guest speaker, we're going to take a deep dive about how it impacts your wealth. Our topic today is rewrite your wealth story. Rewrite your wealth story, NLP tools to break free from scarcity identity. Who would like to break free from scarcity identity? I would say most of us want to, if not all of us want to break free from scarcity identity. What does that mean? It means that we're going to flip the script into abundance mentality, into abundance identity. What is your identity? What is your blueprint? What do you think about yourself? Who you really are to you? How do you show up for you? So today we're going to be talking to my incredible new friend. And by the way, I met him through a coffee chat. If you're not doing coffee chats, you are leaving so much on the table. Have a coffee chat. Connect with somebody. You never know what it can lead to. Maybe it's going to lead to them being a guest speaker for you, or maybe you'll be a guest speaker for them. Maybe it's having a conversation and just getting to know somebody. How about if we do more of that? How about if we do more of getting to know people? So today I am joined by my incredible guest speaker, Mr. Shawn Michael. He's a leadership and transformation coach known as the Inner Potential Activator. Did you love that? An identity disruptor. He helps high-performing entrepreneurs and executives break free from their inner limitations and rebuild success from identity instead of insecurity. So please give it up for my incredible guest speaker, Mr. Shawn Michael. Welcome to Wealthy Wednesday, my friend. How are you?
Doing wonderfully to fit with the W Wednesday thing, Leah.
There you
go.
go.
I'm so excited to be here and to be in your orbit and be able to speak about this topic today, because money and wealth it's a really emotional topic. Right? A lot of conflict in relationships, it stems from money issues or money topic discussions that aren't happening. But I want to reframe this. Most of us don't have a money problem. We have a meaning problem.
Ooh.
Right? It's the meaning that we're giving to ourselves, to what we're doing, to the money that we have or that's coming in. And if you don't know me, which I see a lot of the names in the chat, and you know me, you've been on my shows, you've seen me on other shows, but I am Shawn Michael, and I go by the title Inner Potential Activator and Identity Disruptor, because I believe in the infinite potential in every person on this earth, all 8 billion of you. Now, I realize there aren't 8 billion here watching now, but maybe they will hear it. Every one of us has immense potential, but we've got to unlock it. It's usually buried under years of conditioning and reinforcement through our language. And that's really what NLP is about. It's about looking at our language and changing it, which helps us rewrite our identity code to have the life we want.
Yes. That is the secret sauce, right? So it is really, most of us don't have a money problem. We have a meaning problem. So let's talk about that. I love that. I'm not sure what you mean, but I'm ready to learn. I've got my notepad and I'm ready. So, what is this? Let's dive deep into that, Sean.
Yes. So often we have a we have those beliefs that we heard, whether directly or indirectly, right? We can't afford that. You have to work hard, go to school, study hard so you can have a better life. I work with some people in China, and you want to talk about that driven. If you've never heard of the Tiger Mom, it's intense, right? They push them because you got 1 billion people you're competing against for university and job titles, and competition is fierce. It makes the bullpen in Wall Street look like the playground. So, what meaning are you giving? What are you telling yourself about your money situation? Because our balances in our books, our banks, etc., those are mirrors. But most of us have assigned a meaning that they're measurements, right? We're measuring that, oh, I have $10,000 in savings. I'm doing good. I'm proud of myself. I'm proving to my dad that I could do it. I'm proving to all the bullies or naysayers in school that, they said I would never amount to much. But it's really a mirror of who you are, the stories you believe about yourself, about what's possible. I've even talked to people who have massive bank accounts, they've got investments, they've got plenty of money, but they still feel broke, anxious, and not enough. They're still striving to prove more. It's why when you get to this level, it's not enough. You got to go to the next level, right? Okay, I'm earning 50K a year. Okay, that's not good enough. I got to go to 60K a year, 70K a year, 80K a year. And I see it whether it's employees or entrepreneurs. We're all striving like, oh, I made 10K a month. Oh, well, I made 50K a month. You see it everywhere.
Well, I'm definitely not opposed to making $50 million a month, but I think it's what if it's impacting your identity, if you feel like you're not worth it, or you have to do that in order to prove that you are worthy, you are worth more. And I love when you're talking about the language, because I really believe that language is so powerful. That's why I don't believe in budgets. I never use the word budget. I think that word should be banned from our dictionary, banned from our vocabulary. It makes us feel punitive. It feel like we're being punished, right? I talk about a spending plan. So when it comes to money, I totally am in sync with you on that. And I want to welcome a few people who've joined us. I have a new friend here. Maybe this is your friend. I don't know. Zakia. I hope I'm not butchering your name. Is this your friend,
Yeah,
Sean?
yeah. I'm
Great to see
connected with
you.
her and over in
Thank
the Audio
you.
Leaderships Club.
Awesome. Great to see you. Thank you for joining us. And Omar, my good friend Omar, thank you for joining us. Great to have you here this morning on Wealthy Wednesday. And here's a new name as well. Is this your friend, Sean?
It's somebody that's crossed my orbit through other appearances.
Awesome.
Arlevine. She's
I love it.
over, I don't remember, she's like over Middle Eastern area. I don't remember exactly.
Okay. Well, she loved the comment also. She loved that we have a meaning problem instead of a money problem. So that was I love that. That was a great golden nugget. And Zoom parties. What? I need a Zoom party. Omar, what's this Zoom party about? We need a Zoom party. I want some more partying
Well,
in my life.
you've seen Jeopardy, right?
Hmm.
Omar has Zoom Party where the contestants join by Zoom and you have similar questions. And I actually got a message from Omar yesterday in the evening. Hey, are you free tomorrow? One of our people can't make it. I said, let me check my schedule because I've been preparing for this talk with Leah for weeks, and I got to make sure it doesn't align. He's like, I said, I am free at 11 my time because I have a call with you. I said, I have only 45 minutes because I got to get in with Leah so we can get
Oh,
our
there you
prep
go.
work done. And I won.
Wow, that's so
Did not
great.
expect that.
That is awesome. Well, definitely, I love to watch those type of games. I definitely don't want to participate in those kinds of things. Too much pressure, but I love that. Yeah, I mean, what do we need? We need more fun in our life. We need more ways to have fun. I love that, and thank you for joining us, Sean, Michael, and navigating it all. And I also want to welcome my good friend, Miss Chesda. She is an African auntie. You got to check her
African
out.
AI, yeah, African AI
Yes,
auntie.
the African AI auntie. And thank you for joining us. Good to see you. And then we also have Chris. Thank you for joining us. Thank you. Bless you. Thank you for joining us. And he talks about saving teen lives, which is a huge deal. Distracted driving is a big, big deal. So let's talk a little bit more about some language. We all know like the common ones, but I want to know if there's something that we're missing that is not so obvious. Like we know money doesn't grow on trees, money can't buy happiness, I can't afford that. Those are like the common ones. Is there anything that our subconscious may be picking up on, some like more advanced language that we need to be aware of?
Well, anything that treats money as, status or how you should look at money, you know, rich people are greedy, anything like that. And as I said, it doesn't even have to be directed. Like, yes, we heard our parents say something, but one thing I heard is a client came into an NLP coach, and whenever his business was successful, his relationships were trash. When his relationship was succeeding, his business fell. And so when he was working with his NLP coach, they started digging in, like, what were the underlying subconscious beliefs that what they pinned it down to. He was like 6 years old. His uncle was in the kitchen with his dad. He happened to come out of bed in the middle of the night and heard the uncle say, it's just not possible to have a successful business and a successful relationship at the same time. And it locked in his
Right.
little mind, and he carried it for years. And, when you were talking about budget, yeah, people say budget and they cringe. I had a really great interview on Daily Power Boost with Nancy Wood, who is about mindful spending. She's not anti credit card or she's like, just be aware, pay attention to your spending, track it, write down in a month where you spent your money. Oh, I put a charge for that 9 months, same as cash. I've seen so many people get bit by that.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're so on point with the person that you spoke with, is that really it is what we track expands. We can't change what we're not aware of. So that's why I love to have a spending plan where we see everything that's coming in, everything that's going out on a monthly basis. I never tell my clients you can't buy Starbucks. Some financial people will say you can't buy Starbucks. You got to sell your children, burn your furniture. I just don't believe in that, right? It's bringing awareness. And then as they start to see their balances go down, they start to see their debt getting paid off, because we teach them how to pay that off quickly. And then they start to watch their investments grow. Through osmosis, people will start to self-regulate and self-moderate, and they will make adjustments because it starts to incentivize them. So I agree with that. So on point. So let's talk about then, how can we identify these patterns or these belief systems that we were exposed to as a child? Is there anything that we can kind of do through a self audit where we can determine, okay, maybe this is a disconnect here?
Yes. And definitely you can do a self audit. You can, and I've got an exercise later that will help kind of spark this, but it's about going back through your beliefs. And I didn't think of it earlier, Leah, but one of the beliefs is we have this belief that we've given ourselves a ceiling. I deserve to earn this much for whatever, whether it's my business or my job. They've got a ceiling that's subconscious, and they've established it. Like I need to take that additional training or go back to university before I can go up to the next tier. And that is often a hidden block, right? I can't afford it. I'm not ready. Here's another one. I'm just bad with money. And I would love if people that are watching put the statements like that you've heard, that you've said to yourself or others that are anti-money, because money is not evil. And my favorite, right? The Bible says, people misquote the Bible, say money is evil, or they say the love of money is evil. No. The Bible says the love of money is the root of evil. So, but how many of us grew up in an environment where we heard things like that? Oh, rich people are greedy. We can't earn more. I can't keep money. I just spend it as fast as I earned it. One I remember, JOB, you've probably heard this one, Leah, just over broke.
Right.
Or I always have more month at the end of the money. All of these little words that we repeat mentally or verbally, they become neurological commands in our mind that bury these limits. And most of it then becomes part of our identity, right? We take input, we make it belief cemented, becomes identity, and then we don't even know how to break out of it.
Yeah.
Right?
That is
and
so
here's another question for everyone. When you think about wealth, real wealth, what's the first emotion that comes up? Maybe it's excitement, maybe it's tension. But that's where we get real with yourself is if you doubled, if you tripled, if you 10x'd your income in the next 6 months, what emotion comes up?
Yeah. That gets me excited.
It gets me excited too, to be able to get what my son wants wisely. I don't want to be one of those overzealous parents buying a kid everything, but being able to travel, send my wife off for a pedicure, mani-pedi, and a day off with her girlfriends or whatever, with not worrying about, how we're going to manage the money.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why you definitely need a true wealth plan. You truly, truly do, because then that will take away that tension that a lot of people feel because they don't know what to do with the wealth once they get it. You got to have receptacles ready, right? That's why I'd like to build the wealth strategy before we receive it, so we're ready and able to receive this wealth. There's a comment that I think is so brilliant. I really want to dive into this comment because I hear this often. People say, why can't you just be comfortable? Why? I just want to be comfortable. We can just do with what we have. We don't have to keep up with someone else. And I totally respect that. If you're doing something to keep up with someone else, then that's something different. But one thing that's really interesting to me, Sean, is that I meet a lot of business owners, entrepreneurs who are doing everything to get wealthy. They're getting up early. They're staying up late. They're missing birthday parties. right? They're burning the midnight oil. But then they say, I don't need a lot of money. I don't want to be rich. I don't want to be wealthy. I just want to be comfortable. What would you say to that? To me, it's like putting on the gas and the brake. You're working so hard to build your business and you're doing all the things that maybe is required. I don't know your business, but just say, for example, it is required to do to get it going. But then at the same time, you're pushing away the money saying, I don't want it. I don't need it. So what are your thoughts about that?
Well, and I 100% agree. A lot of time it is like putting the gas in the brake or trying to walk with the ball and chain on your ankle. Right. And this is a set point. It's a personal set point. What is comfort? What does life look like where you are comfortable and that no matter what happens in the economy, if somebody in your family took ill suddenly and needed massive surgery or any of it, and that's the advantage, Leah, you said the plan, right? Make a plan so that you can manage. Now, does that mean you have to make 10K a second? No. And, you have to be careful with comparisonitis, right? I had friends when I was young. My wife said, oh, we just got a new card. She's like, my wife's like, I didn't even want the card. They were giving out free gifts. I wanted the free gift. So I just signed up for the free gift. She's like, I didn't even care about the card. And this other friend's like, well, we got a card that's, double that. And it's a gold card or whatever. And so when we're using, again, it's going back to the meaning. What does the money mean to you? Is it status? Is it performance and proving to somebody who may not even be alive that you did it, you achieved it? We don't need to take a vow of poverty. But yeah, it is a set point. Not everybody wants to make $1 million a year. Some do. We have to look at the language and the reason. Why do you feel that that's enough?
Yeah.
Is it truly enough? Is it really comfortable? Again, we're going back to that mindfulness, that awareness of realizing what's happening inside our mind, right?
Mm-hmm. For me, a lot of it has nothing to do with the accumulation of the wealth, but it's a person that I'm becoming as I'm striving to grow. And as I give more, as I have more, I can give more. One of my goals is to build a community center. That's going to take at least $1 million. So it's also knowing, for me, what is the result of you achieving that? If it's just for yourself, then I think a lot of times that's not being congruent. It's out of alignment. I see that people that are just looking to create wealth for themselves, really have a difficult time. They may achieve it, but they won't keep it. Let me say that again. They may accumulate some wealth at some point, but then they will find a way and suddenly they're going to find themselves back into destitute. I've seen it many, many times.
Oh, so it happens so many times because they got the success, they got the windfall, but the identity and the beliefs were not brought up to speed.
Yeah.
And so eventually it falls apart. It's a house of cards, right? As you said, majority of big winners who get a big inheritance or a lottery win, they're worse off later than they were when they started.
Yeah.
And, one of the books I was reading, he was going to get his last items from this mansion on the Malibu coastline. by all external accounts, he made it. He had the nice car, he had the big house, he had the beautiful wife and the wonderful kids. Everything looked perfect on paper. And it all came crashing down. And he said that was his wake up call. Like, I got to do this differently. I got to update my beliefs, who I am, who I become, who I want to become, you know. And as you said, Leah, what is the meaning? Why do I want this income? Is it just for me? You know, I have big dreams of supporting some of the poor. I live in Guatemala. 50% of the population here is living below poverty level. And I'm not talking like LA homeless poverty level. I'm talking dirt floor, the toilet is a hole in the ground, and the house is built from stalks of weeds they got out of a field somewhere. So if I could give more to that, that would mean a lot to me. And the other thing is, as a coach, like, my dream is to be able to help anyone regardless of what their financial situation is. But I have a family. I have to feed. I have to keep the lights on. I got to pay the bills. So you got to balance it.
Yeah. And one little reframing, maybe if I could, is that we get to pay the bills. Like, we obviously have the abundance to pay the bills, or we wouldn't have those bills. So just a little thing that I talk about too. I love this comment by Mary Kay. She says, I think sprints are okay. Short periods of go, go, go. What are your thoughts?
I 100% agree, but approach carefully, because it's very, very easy, if we have not updated our internal code, to get stuck in the sprint.
Yeah.
Right? We're like, it's easy to get lost in it. Like, go, go, go. And especially you start getting those rewards, right? The higher the more income and more connections and getting asked to speak on more stages or whatever. It gives you that dopamine charge. And you're like, oh, I want to do more of this. This is nice. Yes. And here's a question back at the audience. So yes, sprints, definitely give yourself, like, this sprint will last, like, set the deadline when you start the sprint. This is a 30-day sprint. That's it. No more. Hard stop. No questions, no take backs. Right? Hard stop, 30-day sprint, 90-day sprint. That's it. I'm not doing any longer than that. That's my guideline. That's what I use to make sure the sprint doesn't continue on and on and on and on.
That's a great point. I love that. And it's really finding your cadence. So I have a pretty, for a lot of people, they might consider a pretty intense schedule, but it never feels like that to me because I've developed the cadence of it. At the same time, I know where my limit is. I know that there's certain times and days that I do in early. Wednesday is usually an early day for me because this takes a lot of energy to do this, right? To build up to it and everything. So it's really finding out where is your comfort level, but at the same time, stretching that. You've got to increase your capacity. If you have a goal to have, maybe say to have an event like this, you got to kind of maybe you start with it once every couple of weeks or something, because it does take a lot to curate this kind of thing. So that's really, really brilliant. Here's another comment by Chris. I want to talk about this one too. Great comments. We want to know your thoughts. Like, are you guys picking this up? What are you picking up? What we're putting down? Are you smelling what we're cooking? We want to know. Chris says, I never have money. It was hard coming up. I feel to do with be comfortable with what I have. I think he's trying to say that when he was growing up, he really didn't have a lot of money, so he's had to learn how to feel comfortable with what he has. Is that what you're asking, Chris, or is that your comment? I want to make sure that I have it clear. You can also retype it again and let us know. So what would you just say to somebody that, they just don't feel comfortable having more or even wanting more? Maybe they have some systems in their mind that are running in the background saying you shouldn't have more. It's wrong to even want more. What would you share about that, Sean?
Well, what I would say is that's the time to practice some introspection, right? To sit down with yourself, no phone, no distractions. Set yourself a it doesn't have to be, I'm not saying sit down for an hour in the wilderness on a silent retreat while you think of this. It could be a 5-minute pause between events where you get a notepad out and just ask yourself some questions like, what does enough really even mean?
Yeah.
Emotionally, not numerically. Take the numbers out because they're just numbers. What does it really mean to me emotionally? Where am I trying to prove instead of provide? I also grew up in a tough environment, right? My parents divorced when I was young. My dad didn't pay enough child support to support one of the kids, and there were 4 of us. And my mom had to go back to work, a non-college educated beauty school dropout, trying to find work, and basically could only find work at minimum wage because she had no skills, no training. She ground hard.
Right.
And we moved around a lot, but we never slept on the street. We skipped meals, but never more than one meal. And we ate meat out of a can. I learned actually some of my culinary skills came because I had a can of meat that I had 3 younger kids. I had to convince them to eat this thing that looked like dog food.
Yeah.
So I understand, and I've had to go through and look at my own beliefs because, you know, you grow up in that environment, or if you grow up in an environment where one of your parents is a spendthrift and the other one is a saver, and
Yeah.
they're in this tug of war over
Mhm.
finances. And often people around you will say things. You can probably catch yourself saying things to yourself or others that just they come out. That's coded at the deepest level. So getting in there and looking, what is it I think about money? What is the meaning behind this? When I say comfortable, what does that mean for me? You know, and this is my favorite question. If no one saw your life, what would it comfortable really be like?
Oh, I love that.
When we have
I
the
love.
answers to that, yeah, when we have the answers to that, your perspective shifts and you can learn to stop proving. Now, there's no magic switch. This doesn't, I don't flip a switch and boom, everything is good. I've been working on this for years. I mean, I even remember 8.5 years ago, my last web development client quit on me. And the same time we found out my wife was 9 weeks pregnant in a foreign country. They shut our power off and we were buying food with money we earned from renting the bathroom. Because in Guatemala, there's no public restroom, so people pay like 25 cents to rent your bathroom. And one of the bus drivers would pay us $1 to rent the shower once a week. And that was how we bought food so that we could eat.
Yeah.
And I would say we were comfortable. We survived. It was challenging, but we did okay. We still had our home. We weren't starving. We weren't as full and happy and dumb as we would like to have been, but But it taught me so much to reevaluate my life and not just frivolously spend, to rewrite the code of who I am and who, because money doesn't change you, I would say.
Mhm.
Money is simply an amplifier.
Mhm.
Whatever's inside, whatever your core identity is at this time, having more money will just turn up the volume. Before we get too far, I have a little guided exercise to go through.
Yeah, let's do it. I totally agree with you. You're on point. I've watched people, I have many clients who started with really nothing when we started, and many of them are very, very successful now. And it really just magnifies quicker exactly who you are. So I love that. Let's do your exercise.
All right. So I want that we're doing this exercise. It's just going to take about 2 minutes. It will help you feel a shift right here, right now, in real time.
Ooh. All right.
So if you're in the position, closing your eyes does help, but you don't have to. But think in your mind and recall a stressful money moment. Bring that into your memory. See what you saw, feel what you felt, hear what you heard, engage any senses. And now think about the most joyful time in your life. Doesn't even have to be money. Shake your hands out, wiggle your neck, get it all loose. Now, I want you to remember a powerful financial win. Maybe you got that credit card paid off. Maybe you got a bonus at the end of the year. Or like what happened to my wife, they called her one day and they're like, "Hey, we've been calling you not exempt for too long. Like, go back and all the extra hours you worked, we're back paying you for a year of overtime." So that was a nice little bonus check. And while, again, see what you saw, hear what you heard, feel what you felt. When that feeling is at its strongest, you can touch your middle finger and your thumb together. Just pinch them with a little bit of pressure. You can grab an ear, just something physical on your body and press it
Yeah.
when you're at the peak state.
Mhm.
Now release it. Do you smell popcorn?
Not that I'm aware of.
And you can repeat this action, like remembering that powerful financial win, and press that same point. The more you do, it will anchor this state. So whenever you need to have that good money state, you just press the same point on your body or put the two fingers together. Do it when you're paying your bills. Do it when you're checking your bank balance. Anytime you're interacting with your money, press that anchor state. And I would say, you'll probably echo this, Leah, right? Wealth building is not linear.
No, it's
Right?
not
It
at
doesn't
all.
necessarily go in a straight line.
Absolutely.
I would say it's identity based. And in NLP, it teaches us that when setbacks happen, we don't look at it like, "Oh, I failed, I got back into debt," or it's, "What can I learn here?
Right.
What, think of every mistake, every failure as simply feedback." That's actually something I reinforce to myself all the time. There is no failure, only feedback. Whatever I do, it's win or learn.
That's right.
Think of it
Yeah.
as a message, in the failure, the data is something from your future self.
Yeah, I love the future self. Dr. Benjamin Hardy talks about your future self. Be your future self now. That anchor is very powerful. I've used that in many different ways, and I like to do it if I'm like somewhere. I like to be out on the beach a lot, so I will meditate for a few minutes and then do an anchor. or even having some kind of an aroma or like essential oils. I love essential oils, and you kind of can anchor it with that. Just something to kind of play with. I don't think that it's an exact science. You got to find out what works for you and just be open to what happens. Just like you said, okay, do you smell popcorn, or what do you feel afterwards? So I love that you said that.
But
And
that do you smell popcorn? That's actually a pattern interrupt. It's to kind of
okay,
snap us out of the loop.
there you go.
And it can be anything, you just like put your attention, like, what are we having for dinner? It doesn't matter. It's just like breaking the state
I
so that you
love
can
pattern
walk it
interrupt.
in. And,
Absolutely. I love them.
it's great that you mention like aromas, smells, because neuroscience has proven that smells are the best and strongest anchors for us. We can anchor, and here's the reality. Everybody is already using anchors. It's part of being human. NLP just realized, like, hey, we can consciously set these anchors and we can collapse bad anchors, right? Anytime you smell a certain food, you can think it takes you back to some memory. You hear a certain
That's right.
song, boom, the memory plays like a movie on
Right.
automatic, right? You see a certain something or certain location, and floods back out of our control. That's anchoring. All we're doing is we're taking management of it. We're taking control of it, right? And it's very simple. And the more you do the same anchor with the same type of situation and lock that same anchor, it makes it stronger and stronger and stronger. And you can activate it anytime. I've used it for confidence. I've used it for resetting when you get that panic rise, because the body reacts to memory, right? It's another anchor, right? Something happened, boom, you go into panic mode and you can't think straight. So I have my simple anchor, it resets me. Even your breath can be your anchor.
Breathing is powerful. Man, it's powerful. Whew. Yeah, these are some really good conversations. I've been really exploring breath work recently, and I've been having a lot of fun with it. So I want to unpack a word that you've used a few different times, and I hear a lot of lip service about this word, but I want you to help us to understand what this word means, and that's identity. Can you really help us to define what that word means and what can we do to help us to increase our identity?
So when I talk about identity, it's who you believe you are. And that's what we look at. Who do you believe you are right here, right now, in this moment? And, piggybacking on Dr. Benjamin Hardy and one of my mentors, Coach Steve Hardison, who's now retired. What is the identity of ideal future you? When you dream of your reality 5 years, 10 years, 20 years from now, what does that look like? What are you doing? Where are you living? Who's with you? What organizations are you helping? Did you build your community center? Did you, launch a kitchen in Nicaragua to feed poor families at no cost to them? Because I'm actually looking at, Chasen, and they just launched Transformation Kitchens in Nicaragua, and they're launching one in the US soon. And that's another NLP technique. We can use visualization of myself living that life as if true now. And who am I in that life? Who do I want to be? How do I act? How do I think? Who am I talking to? What words am I using? And the the secret is like we're bringing it back. Like it doesn't have to be out there, right? We can act today from that who we're becoming. Are we going to still fall on our face? Yeah, we are. We're human. We're going to blow up at our spouse or our child over something. And, that's why I follow this Japanese proverb, Nana karoki ya oki, which means fall down 7, get up 8.
Boom. That's it right there. Absolutely. Because champions get up. We just do. And it doesn't look pretty. It's not this rainbows and butterflies. It's not a highlight reel. It's dirty. It's sweaty. It's through tears. It's when you're trying to rewrite your script and the ink runs out of your pen and the paper's, falling apart. And that's what real winning looks like. They say it's what is done in the dark will be shown in the light, but not until you win. And whatever that level of winning is for you, everybody has a different litmus of what that winning is. So that's a great definition, is your identity is who you believe you are. And I always feel that, I'd love your thoughts on this too, Sean, is that it's not really what people believe about us, but it's who we believe we are and who people see that we believe that we are. And what I mean by that is, if I showed up here like camera shy, I turn off my camera, I'm kind of like hiding my face, I don't want people to see me. Like that would give off a different, even though I'm still the same person, it would be projecting a different aura, a different energy. So that's why I like to come up here. I mean, I'm excited to do this anyway, but I bring my energy because I want you to know that I believe what I'm sharing here with you is good. So what are your thoughts about that? Does that make sense?
It makes sense because, how we show ourselves, and that's part of the identity thing too, is like, who do you believe you are? Look at what other people think, use the mirrors you have in your life appropriately. Make sure they're clean and working mirrors, because sometimes they're not.
Yeah.
And use them to improve yourself and make your adjustments and notice where you are shining. And I think that's the other thing. It's like melding our present identity with our future identity, merging it here and now, and at the same time making sure that the identity that others are seeing in us is exactly the same. Like you said, we don't want to have, live on LinkedIn Sean, and Sean with it, playing with his son. It's my goal in my life is that Sean is Sean regardless of where I am.
Yeah, for sure.
But it's also
so true.
it's also one thing I learned is often we've, just the same way we built the beliefs about money, we have negative beliefs about who we are, what our capabilities are, because we've locked on to that 1 or 2 times where it didn't work.
Right.
Leslie was just talking about this earlier, about how so many people are afraid of public speaking. I heard a statistic, and I don't know how realistic it is, that more people are afraid of public speaking than people are afraid of death. Mm-hmm. That's kind of crazy. Like, you're not going to die public speaking, but you have 1 or 2 events that is your prominent memory, that when you think about public speaking, that memory comes up. You remember when you stood up and blah, blah, blah. Remember? And they all laughed at you and you felt really bad and blah, da, 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 da. And we replay that. But if you go into your memories, there's probably a memory where you stood up and you got a round of applause and everybody was so, wow, it's so amazing what they said. But we've buried it. And that's one of the techniques that NLP can do, is because we can actually rewrite it. We can put that negative memory, so it's back here. I learned from it, but it's not in my face, full color. It's gray, and it's like, oh yeah, it's a distant memory. Yeah, I remember that time. And we bring
Yeah.
the other memory into prominence, like, yeah, I'm not afraid of that anymore.
Yeah. That is so powerful. I remember the first time that I had to do a public speaking. It was really, I don't know that it was public speaking, but I had to teach a class. So this was years ago for our insurance office. They wanted me to teach a class. And I was like, yeah, I can do it. I never really thought of it as public speaking. And I was nervous and I did feel like anxious about it. But what happened was, as soon as I found like I said something and people laughed, then I enjoyed that. Then it was like, oh, I like this feeling. Or if I started to share something and everyone got quiet and they started to put their pen down and put their head down and they were taking notes, that became more incentivized to me, right? It gave me that dopamine, maybe,
Mm-hmm.
that made me to enjoy it. So maybe finding something that when you do share, that is the feeling that you get from doing it. I mean, you still may be nauseous, you still may be nervous. I've heard like different speakers and different actors were still nervous, but they would do it because they like the feeling. It's just like working out. We don't generally like going to work out, but we like the impact afterwards. We like the feeling of being in shape and what that does for us when we work out. So what would you share about that?
Well, I have some stories to go with that, but it's all about the meaning that we give it, right? If we give meaning that I hate exercise, I'm not a fitness person, I used to tell myself, I don't like running. Like, I don't want to run. I'm not a runner. I'm not a football player,
Right.
and I just keep reprogramming, like, that's what I don't want to do. And of course, when I try to do it, it's like all my reality comes true. Like, oh yeah, it's so bad. I'm like, I'm feeling horrible. And that's the power of our mind is it will lock onto something and it will look for evidence that
Oh,
proves exactly what we're telling ourselves. If we change
absolutely.
the meaning, everything else changes, right? you know, I'm going to the gym because I'm not fitting in my clothes anymore. That's kind of tends to have a negative meaning to most people. But if you think I am a person who cares about my health, so yeah, I do some exercise that works for me. And as humans, we're complicated. We're like an onion, right? You clear one layer and you're like, oh,
Whew.
there's another one. You clear
Yes.
that and you're like, oh, there's another one. So it takes time to peel layer after layer and solve these blocks that we've installed consciously or unconsciously. But my story is one, I was reading a professional speaker, like that was his livelihood. He had a very successful career for years. He was high demand, he made lots of money on his events, and he got so comfortable he never even felt the butterflies anymore. It was just like he got up, spoke, and all of a sudden his career went. And he goes, when he realized, stopped and looked at it, he's like, I lost
Yeah.
that tinge, because fear and excitement
Yep.
are physiologically the same. It all matters what we say up here. I'm afraid or I'm excited. Now, another story a little closer to home. So, first off, my Myers-Briggs personality type is called the entertainer. So, I thrive on speaking to people and I took drama in school. I love and I do very well presenting and speaking in front of people, live or virtual. But last year I was enrolled in the Great American Speak Off.
Wow.
It's like America's Got Talent or
Right.
American Idol for speaking. And I prepped my speech, I practiced my speech. We had 1 minute to speak, which it's a
I
lot
love
harder
it.
to speak 1 minute than it is to
That's
speak
right.
an hour.
Absolutely.
So I practiced and I prepared and I rewrote my script and got it all ready. And I'm like, okay, I'm good. And I'm in the Zoom room and it's moments away from my turn to speak. I still got about 10 minutes. So I still can step away. And I have this wave of fear just fall on me. Like, what in the heck did I say? Like, I'm nuts. This is insane.
Right.
And I'm questioning myself, where does that come from? Like, I've stood on stages in front of strangers, I've presented virtually, and I manage it. It's okay. What is going on? I didn't spend a lot of time. I just said, okay, activate my tools. Went to the closet so I could be alone and not bother anybody in the house. I did my power poses, which I learned from Amy Cuddy, because change your body, you change your state. Works every time. It's the fastest way. I mean, if you look up like this, try to frown. You can't. You can't. And so I did my power pose, and then I sang one of my songs I love that charges me up called Born for This. And I screamed it at the top of my lungs. I came back to the Zoom room and I was calm again. But again, it was just meaning. And it shows that everybody, I want to tell people, everybody gets afraid sometimes before speaking, before 200 or 2,000. Everybody doubts themselves and says, if they really knew the truth, what would they think? So you're not alone, right? We're all trying to find our way in this life, one way or another.
Yeah. I love the Mel Robbins. I learned that from Mel Robbins, which is that excitement and fear have the same reaction in your body. And when I learned that, boy, that was a game changer for me. Because anytime I felt a little bit of afraid, no, look at how excited you are. Oh my gosh, you are just so excited. This is going to be so incredible. And one time I did this, the first time I used it was doing a stream. What do they call that when you're on a zip line? We
Yeah,
were,
zip line.
yeah, I didn't know. So anyway, we were in Cabo and there was a zip line. Now I wanted to keep up with the youngsters. Okay. So the youngsters all went to the zip line. The other people went to ride camels. I'm like, listen, I'm going to keep up with them, whatever they're going to do. I'm brave. I'm a champion. I'm going to do this. So we did this zip line and I thought, okay, so we did the first one, which I thought was the zip line. And I was like, okay, I did it. Wow, I'm good. And so I start taking off my stuff. They're like, what are you doing? I go, well, like we like did the thing, right? They said, no, Leah, we have 5 more levels. Do you see that one up there? We're hiking up there next. I said, what are you talking about? So it was right then. I was like, okay, I have to change my state. I'm so excited to do this. I just cannot believe. Now, many people of the youngsters fell off. Not they didn't fall off, but they tapped out. They're like, oh, I'm not going to the next one. I went to all of them. Okay, and I'm pretty proud of that because we're talking about this lab zip line was no joke, and I'm not a roller coaster kind of person. So you really can do things that you don't think you can just by changing your state, just by asking yourself different questions, just by reframing the meaning that is behind it.
Right. And that reminded me of a zipline story. So my wife is very heights averse. She feels that massive physiological reaction in any
Yeah.
height. Like we were up on the Stratosphere Tower, and she's like, she stayed inside. She's like, I want to go outside. She's like, you go by yourself. She's like, I'm not going out there.
Right.
But we were living in Belize, and we did this smaller zip line course where things were not so high and everything was
Right.
visible. And she did it with me.
Nice.
And then we were in another part of Belize, and they had night zip lining
Oh, wow.
through the jungles at night.
Oh my gosh.
She agrees to do it with me. We zip the first one, we zip the second one, and she's like, where's the next line? Like, where are we going from here? Because there's no stairs to go down. There's no line going off of it. I go, we're rappelling.
Oh.
She's like, no. I said, yep, that's the only way off this thing. Like, we're all on this pedestal. The only way down is on that rope.
Wow.
Right? So they strapped some other people in, lowered them down. Came her turn, and she's like, really slow, please, okay? He's like, okay. She gets off the side. He's letting her go slowly for like 3 seconds, and then he does a let's go. Like, not really let's go. Let's her go fast.
Oh.
And I just hear this scream like that echoed through the jungles, louder than howler monkeys. And if you've ever heard howler monkeys, that's loud. And then this laugh, because the truth is when you're tapping out, when your brain is saying tap out, you're out of energy. You got no more. The reality is you're only at 40% consumption.
That's right.
You haven't even hit 50%.
That's right. Absolutely. There's always another level. Well, I don't know where this hour's gone. This is just zipped by. A lot of great golden nuggets, a lot of great golden gems. So I know you've made some new fans and friends. How can people reach you? Where can people find you? What's the best way for people to get in touch with you if they would like to learn more?
Well, I actually created a downloadable specific for this event called the Rewrite Your Wealth Story, which goes into the NLP techniques more in depth and a lot of the things we talked about, Leah. And they can just go to successblueprintconsulting.com/wealth reframe. I'll drop it in the LinkedIn comments as well.
Please do.
So they can find it, and it's a free download. Go ahead and download it. It's a 7-page document that will walk you through some of the NLP techniques that you can use to reset your wealth identity to move towards abundance and away from scarcity. But otherwise, you can find me on LinkedIn as Sean Michael, or also seanmichael.link. That has all my contact information. It's one of those digital business cards online like Linktree. Makes it much easier.
That's awesome. Well, this has been a lot of fun. It's been so great getting to know you a little bit more and just learning some of these strategies. And it really is about us evolving and growing. We're never done. When we're done, we're gone. Like when our job is over, we go somewhere else, right? So thank you so much. And really thank all of you who've joined us. And whether you watched us live or you're part of Team Replay, we definitely appreciate you. Let us know where you're tuning in from. Where in the neck of the woods are you? And remember that this is 2025. You still got a few days left. This is your year to rise up and thrive. You can absolutely do that. And I believe if you're here, if you're watching this, it's because you are the one in your family. You're the chosen one in your family that's supposed to change your family's last name forever. Now, does that mean that you become a multi-bazillionaire? I don't know. Maybe it means that you're the first person to be out of debt. Maybe it means you're the first person in your family to buy a home or to send your kids to college. I don't know what that means for you, but I do know this, that we should leave every generation better than we are. it's not giving them a hand out, it's giving them a hand up. And if we do that, we will totally transform our entire family's future forever. So that's going to do it for us. Thank you for joining us on this episode of Wealthy Wednesday. We are here every single week at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Reach out to us. And if you would like to be a guest speaker, send me a DM. Let me know. I'd love to talk to you and see what you would like to share. And thank you so much, Sean Michael. I appreciate your time. I'm so thankful for our connection. I appreciate you so much. And I know this is like we're signing off here, but I'm going to be seeing you in these LinkedIn and social media streets. So thank you so much, everybody. Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest